Hi, everybody. Tim Hughes here. I'm the CEO and co-founder of DLA Ignite. With me today, I've got Amy Cook and Ryan Westwood, and we're going to be talking about their book. Here it is, The RevOps Advantage, How to Maximize Your Revenue Team's Potential. Well done. It's
Thank you.
it's like the RevOps Bible, isn't it?
It is. Well, that's what we designed it for. Thank you so much for having us, Tim.
You're
It's such a
welcome.
pleasure
So,
to be
so
here.
before we start talking, Amy, where can people find you?
Find me on LinkedIn. I'm active every day. I respond to all my messages. Would love to reach out. Reach out to me, and you'll find me with Amy Osmond Cook. Otherwise, there's too many Amy Cooks.
And Ryan, where can we find you?
LinkedIn as well, and I am also responsive. You can also ryanwestwood.com, and it will lead you back to my LinkedIn as well.
Excellent. Love the book. As I said, it's really like the RevOps Bible. What was the inspiration behind it?
We were so excited to receive an inbound email from Skyhorse Publishing. It was the same guy who did Frank Slootman's Amp It Up and the Busting Silos book that Snowflake did. Mike is just an amazing champion of industry and business. And he sent me an email and was like, hey, we are looking to write the RevOps Bible, which is funny that you said it that way.
And I haven't been primed to do that. That's
yeah. He said, we're looking for the
You can give me the $5 later on.
That's right. He said, would you be interested? And I said, 1,000,000% we would be interested. Thank you so much. I called Ryan immediately and Bala, our other co-founder, and we had a really great time writing the book, and we appreciated the collaboration from a lot of our advisors, a lot of other people who participated in it. So we think that we got a pretty good industry cross-section of what's the best in class in RevOps.
So you argue that RevOps is now the engine of predictable revenue. What's the biggest misconception companies still have about RevOps, and why does it slow them down?
Ryan, you want to take it?
Yeah, I'd love to. So a couple things that I think about when I think of RevOps. I think Amy and I have for years had the passion of building beautiful businesses. And when you have that passion and you break down how to build a great company, at the end of the day, it usually leads to two numbers that investors care about. And that is either your top line revenue growth or your EBITDA. And I have found nothing that has had a greater impact on those two numbers than understanding how to efficiently build a beautiful business. And that is RevOps. So I think most people see it as maybe a cost center, and I see it as an investment and something that truly transforms companies and something they cannot do without.
I agree with that. When we elevate the position of RevOps and we make it more strategic, and we're able to amplify the perspective of those people who are in the RevOps seat, who are brilliant, who have a connection to the business like nobody else can, and nobody else does, and we give them a voice. Wonderful things happen. The statistics show that companies with a dedicated RevOps function are about 30% more profitable and grow faster. And so we are big proponents of that.
Your book focuses heavily on alignment. From your experiences, where do revenue teams most commonly become misaligned, and how do you fix it quickly?
Yeah, I mean, this is a topic we're really passionate about. If you think about each executive role within the go-to-market function, typically you see them be in silos. So a lot of times you'll see a CMO or a CRO be focused on their specific business, right? And their department. But when you look at RevOps, it's broader. You're covering all the different areas of RevOps, all the way from the very beginning of the pipe marketing all the way to product. And they're bringing it all together in a unified way, which is why you now see CEOs, COOs, and CFOs fighting to have RevOps report to them. And CROs are losing ground because these other executives are coming to the realization that, oh, this is a leader I can count on for understanding the business, the metrics, and bridges the gaps with all departments.
I love that. And, Tim, nobody understands that better than you. The new business model of marketing, where there are no, one of the problems with RevOps is, if you look at it in an old way as a sales ops, marketing ops, CX ops, if you look at it that way rather than one function, then your silos just get narrower, but they're still there, right? And the way that you're talking about, sales and marketing combined together, and the way that we're talking about it is really a new business model that enables all of RevOps and all of the revenue generating centers to collaborate very efficiently and in one movement, one motion.
Yeah, as you're aware, I wrote a book back in 2018 about merging sales and marketing teams. Because my background was the fact that no one talked to each other. We used to throw stones at each other over email. And actually bringing the teams together took 18 months of interesting conversations. And that's what that Mice Marketing book is about, is really about that case study. I can't name the company, but if you look at my background, you can see who I work for. So.
Well, and it's so common. And for me, one of the reasons that I was so excited to co-found Fullcast with Ryan was because I've had that emotional pain, and I did it more for the emotional pain than the revenue gains. I was like, if I can be part of the solution where marketing doesn't get blamed for bad leads all the time, I am here for my marketing, brothers and sisters, where we can collaborate with sales. We can provide them with what they need. We can, be one team, just like, what you've articulated in your book and in your experience. And so I think the opportunity with revenue operations gives us that.
So when a company is scaling fast, what is the first RevOps process or capability they should implement to avoid chaos?
I think just creating a excellence where they're collecting and collaborating data and they have a trusted source. Because so often, what Amy described there is people have different metrics, and some of the emails you just brought up that happen are because people are measuring ways, maybe even manipulating the numbers to meet their needs. And there's a lot of and so with the revenue operations function, you get one unified set of metrics and a trusted source of metrics where everybody can go operationally. And that to me is the start for a great foundation.
Amy?
Well, it reminds me of one of a time when I used to do consulting before Fullcast, and I had a CEO call me in and say, Amy, I need you to investigate. I think our CMO is gaming the system, and I think that she is sending a lot of fake leads to the sales team. Yeah. I need you to go undercover. Literally said this to me. I need you to go.
I've seen it.
I need you to go undercover, and I need you to see what's happening.
Yep.
And so I said, okay, no problem. So I get in there and I start looking through it. Lo and behold, the CEO was right. But the CMO didn't know. What was happening was they were getting all of these leads and they were not going anywhere. But what she didn't realize was she did not get into the details, and she did not realize that those leads were coming from spam domains, and that they were just spending tens of thousands of dollars on fake leads. She thought they were doing a good job. The sales team was like, these are crap leads. And what was interesting was the sales operations person was the most difficult to work with, because I asked to receive every one of the leads. Yep. Because and they said, no, why would you do that? That's not automated. That's not best practice. And I said, I want to see every one of the leads. And it wasn't until I asked for those that I was able to uncouple the problem and figure it out. But it's such an interesting time in life right now where we are trying to automate, but then we still have to have that, deep dive in there and make sure that we're getting the job done with humans too.
Got to keep those humans in the loop.
That's right.
Data is the new battleground for growth. What are the non-negotiables metrics every RevOps team should track, and which vanity metrics should leaders stop obsessing over?
MQLs, forget about them. Unless it leads to pipeline, who cares? That's what I say.
I agree. I think that one's a big one, and it depends on industry or business, but I agree pipeline has gotta be one of those. You've also gotta make sure that you have the definitions around what is and isn't pipeline so that you can track historical metrics. The other one that I think is just stands the test of time that doesn't, often get brought up is just close rates, right? I think your overall win rates, extrapolating that with pipeline, and then understanding your CAC and your LTV, those types of things. I would say those metrics help you understand your efficiency and both your growth.
The nice thing about the pipeline metric is that if you can unify the sales and marketing on that one metric, it's really helpful. And that's what our CRO Pete and I do. And it's really nice because like oftentimes before the executive meeting, we'll like compare pipeline numbers and we'll make sure we both agree because like nobody wants to show up in front of Ryan and be like, we don't know what our numbers are, right? Or any CEO. And so, yeah, but I think that pipeline number can really help you to collaborate well, and it really does solve some problems.
We often talk about the power of technology, automation, and systems. What tools or tech categories are essential for world-class RevOps function today? Because you go into a lot of detail in the book, don't you?
Mm-hmm. That's right. So you're asking, like, in addition to the tools, what other things are involved with RevOps?
No. So in terms of tools,
Yeah.
what would you see as best practice? If I was let's assume I'm a startup.
Mm-hmm.
And what is it do I need to do from a RevOps perspective?
Mm-hmm.
And as I grow, what tools do you think I should start investing in?
Got it. Well, first of all, you should definitely buy Fullcast. Just joking. Shameless plug.
And today's show is brought to you by Fullcast.
That's right. So the CRM obviously is the brain of your organization. Like you've got to do that first. Then as your organization grows, I think a lot of things that, at least when I've been doing the consulting, a lot of the problems that I've seen are people buy too many tools too quickly.
Yeah.
And they haven't balanced out the people and the processes and the systems along with the tools, and they haven't scaled it according to their revenue growth. So all of a sudden they're underwater $1 million in tools because they bought everything that they didn't need for that size of the business. So I would say start with your CRM, go slow. You definitely need a marketing automation platform as well. I would say once you get to like 1 to 2 million in revenue, like that's a non-negotiable. And then beyond that, you have other things that can hook onto it. When you get to about 25 sellers, you need to start looking at sales performance management tools. And that's when we become more effective at Fullcast. Ryan?
Yeah, I was going to say, yeah, I mean, the sales performance management system is critical, both from routing leads, making sure they get to the right place, and making sure the response times are on target. The other area is then organizing territories. It becomes critical to organize territories and to do that right. There's nothing like deflating a salesperson before the year starts by taking accounts, removing accounts, or drawing bad territories, or a carve that goes wrong can ruin a whole year. Then the other area is commissions. Salespeople are coin operated. You got to make sure they understand what they're getting paid. It's simple, straightforward. They trust it. If they don't have that trust, they get distracted. It's an emotional burden on a salesperson that shouldn't be there. So the commission side, and then the forecasting. Great sales leaders and CROs and CMOs, they know how to forecast and they hit the forecast. And as a CEO, having go-to-market leaders that can forecast in advance and understand their business and the science of their business make a magnificent difference to the overall business. And it's a critical skill. So I would say forecasting and then CPQ. Those are kind of the big buckets that I believe are strategic to a CIO, the CRM, and then those 4 buckets.
I agree with you in terms of salespeople are coin operated, and the last thing you want is salespeople spending their time doing all the calculations manually because they don't believe in the in the automated system.
That's right.
If you were parachuted into a struggling revenue team, what's the first thing that you would diagnose in the first 48 hours?
Ryan, do you have one first?
I would say for me, the first thing I'm looking at is who the leader is. I'm trying to understand the leader, how they work, how they think. I would start there. And then, you like any, I think, strong leader, you sit down and ask the questions and listen. And I would be observing how everything works, all processes, how the team reacts, attending meetings. And then you could quickly put a 90-day plan together based on observations of both
Mhm.
tools, processes, and people.
Yeah, I would probably take what's in our book called the Fullcast Factor Framework for Success, and it's just a little one sheet matrix, and it goes into the core principles that any good revenue operations team needs and any good functioning revenue team needs. So the F is forecasting and
So
planning.
actually, Amy, this was going to be my next question.
Oh, okay, all right.
So yes, absolutely. Go through the factor framework.
Perfect. So what we did in the book is we took about 15 of the world's best revenue operations leaders from very large enterprises, Google, AWS, PayPal. These guys built the functions and ran the functions from the beginning all the way up to the largest of the businesses. We identified what they're doing, what their best practices are. We spent hundreds of hours with them. And this factor framework was the result of those interviews as well as our own experience. So if we just go by the acronym there, F is forecasting and planning. A is alignment of departments, which we've talked a lot about already. C is the centralization of data. T is a technology focus. O is optimization and execution. And R is revenue impact. And then you divide that goes across the top, and you divide that by people, processes, systems and technology, and data. And with that one-page readout, you can get a pretty accurate understanding of how your revenue department is doing and where there are opportunities for growth.
Ryan, any comments on that?
When someone says something just right, you say amen.
Thanks, Ryan.
I thought that was going to be the answer from the smile on your face as you were Ryan. Yeah. So, I mean, is there any of those? We've got 3 minutes left. Amy, do you want to pick any of those? We've talked about forecasting and planning. Do you want to pick on any of those letters?
That's a great question. I think I'd love to talk about the centralization of data.
Yep.
I think that data is one of the pieces that is so difficult to ascertain, like how the quality of your data in-house, right? Everybody says they've got a data problem. Everybody has tools to try to get the quality of their data up. And also, everybody has bad data. I mean, it's just the world that we live in, right? And so, one of the ways that we try to alleviate some of those problems is by looking at the elephant from all sides, right? So, if you have a centralized data hub, and everybody's looking at that same data, and we build the reports from the same data, that we have the best chance of success. And that data is kind of the core from which everything else springs, right? So we can have aligned departments if we're looking at the same numbers, for example. We can forecast accurately if we all agree on what it is. And, we'll always be in the mode where we'll be increasing the data hygiene. There will always be tools that will be getting better. But if we can centralize everything and we can work from a knowledge that is imperfect, but we all agree fundamentally on what it is, then that's kind of the core from which I think we can build a really effective department.
Ryan, any comment on that?
I just agree with her. I mean, I've never met a RevOps leader that says, hey, my CRM, the data hygiene's great, everything's accurate. Everybody is struggling with data enrichment and data hygiene, and being able to have a RevOps function, centralize it, and get a spot where people really can trust the data is critical.
So one question I've got here for you is to do with culture. And can a business succeed if RevOps is if the culture doesn't support cross-functional collaboration?
I think it's so detrimental. I think it would kill scale and growth. When I look at, Brene Brown has the quote, "Clear is kind." To me, being clear and collaborating is the key to successfully scaling a business. And when you're growing fast, communication and clarity is your currency. And as a leader, if you are not clear, people will make decisions or do things that you will be unsatisfied with. And I think that is on the leadership group to make sure you're collaborating and you're clear to scale a business. And so I think that's, if you were to ask me what creates a great company culture and how do you scale a business, it's being clear, providing clarity, and collaborating with it. And it starts with the top level team, because if there's disagreements, you've been there. When sales and marketing doesn't get along, guess what? The whole department doesn't either.
Yeah.
It happens to go downhill.
Yeah, absolutely. I would also say that when you don't have a collaborative culture, the RevOps leader oftentimes gets relegated to be kind of like a specialist, or just an executor rather than a strategic resource, which is where you're really going to get the value. On the other hand, I think that a highly skilled strategic rep can actually change the culture in a way that many other people can't, because they are the nexus point from many different departments. And so I think that when it's to what talent should what kind of policy should you put in place, I think that if you hire a really sophisticated, very highly strategic RevOps leader, you can actually change the culture in your revenue department.
I agree. I think so. I agree. Ryan and Amy, thank you so much for coming on and talking about your book, The RevOps Advantage, How to Maximize Your Revenue Team's Potential. So if I wanted to buy a copy of this, where can I get one from?
Amazon. Amazon's the place. Or on our website, fullcast.com.
Excellent. And where can we find more information about you, Amy and Ryan, and Fullcast?
Thank you. Our website is great, ryanwestwood.com. He has a lot about his, interests, and also is a very great philanthropist as well, and some of those things. Ryan, I don't want to speak for you. On me, LinkedIn is where I live. So would love to talk with anyone.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on and talking, and thank you